How's everybody doing? My name is Alan Roberts. We are live. I am here with a special guest friend of mine, Paulie Calafiore. How you doing, sir?
I'm
What's
good,
going on?
man. How are you?
I've been really, really well, man. So a lot of people that know me now probably don't know that like I've known you for quite like almost like the beginning of the pandemic. It was like I started
Oh
to fuck
yeah,
with you for just because I was a dick online. And then we had a really cool conversation about it. And we've been friends ever since. I always rooted for you and everything like that. So, you know, the pandemic was crazy and we didn't keep in contact that much, but man, like I always knew like the people I know, I always knew how they would be like how they think, right? Like you have a very logical mind, and I knew at some point in time like there was going to be issue with like politics and shit like that for you in your circle, because like
yeah,
you just know like I mean like I've I know how you look at values and everything like that, and I can just understand like you want people to you want to be free, and
yeah.
how is that like? How did the other people that are like in your genre like take that? We have a friend. Mark and I have a friend. His name's Matthew Marston. He was in Hollywood. He's been in like he was in one of the Rambo movies and stuff like that. And he like basically got ostracized out of Hollywood for being a conservative.
Yeah.
Now, what was your experience with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. The funny thing about like reality TV and the funny thing about Hollywood in general is it's like, they want you to have these unfiltered, authentic opinions about anything really. And like, I've never really had opinions about politics like my entire life. I mean, like I was an athlete and I was under the mindset of like, I don't really care about politicians. I think they're losers. I think they're kind of like, they're like the nerds who like, it's like, all right, student council president, like you're trying to get the money for whatever the heck we're doing and nobody really cares. Like everybody's going to the
Right,
football games and the wrestling matches,
right,
and I remember being in college, and that was like the first time that I, could vote. And I remember like it wasn't really that big of a deal. It was like Barack Obama was running for president and everybody on campus was kind of like, this guy seems kind of cool, seems kind of hip and all that stuff. But like I was too busy worrying about like practice the next day and everything. Like
right,
I can't even tell you like I never cared about politics. It wasn't until I got on TV, and I think, like when the Trump and Hillary presidency was happening, like before I entered the Big Brother house, like Hillary and Trump weren't even the front runners
right.
in their own party. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So like to come out of Big Brother where like you're locked away and you don't know anything that's going on, you don't know anything that's being said, and I come right out of that and everybody's just like, oh, here you are, white supremacist, racist, homophobic, sexist guy. And I was like, the fuck is this come from? I'm like,
right,
y'all see like me, like me and this girl, this whole season, we've been getting close. We have these great conversations. We get along. Like all of a sudden now we're outside of the house and it's like, we need to be aligned on politics. I was like, I don't even care about politics. And then I was basically told like, oh, if you don't care about politics, it means you're racist and a sexist. And I was just like, when did it get to this point of that people identify so strongly with their political parties? And when did it come to a point where people are now looking at politicians like they're some sort of deities? I mean, like I am like listening to like all the bands that I always loved, and they were always calling out politicians and being like, screw the tyrants, screw people trying to tell you what to do. So I'm like, why am I going to listen to people who are trying to tell me what to do and tell me how to do it? And then going into the challenge, once again, politics was never really a thing. And then all of a sudden, COVID happens, and then politics was like at the forefront of things. And, I'd like to say that I'm like somebody that's like relatively close to the middle. Like I have conservative beliefs, I have liberal beliefs. I don't identify with what's going on right now,
yeah,
where like I look at the liberal and like, conservatives that are extreme far left and far right. I look at them as like radical thinking humans that are not good for what America stands for. Like I'm an American, my family came over here from Italy, and they've always loved America. So like I've never understood the aspects of, oh, you know, like you fit into this box. I'm just like, there's 32 flavors of ice cream, but I have to fit into one political box or the other political box. I can't just speak on the things that are important to me. And, you know, I haven't really ever spoken outward about politics other than during COVID being like, hey, I think we should really focus on our fitness. I think we should get outside and get sunlight. I think we should focus on our diet and nutrition. Don't drink alcohol. Don't smoke cigarettes. Don't do drugs that are like crazy drugs, you know, like microdose shrooms. If you want to microdose, you know, like weed and stuff like that, like go ahead. But I don't think we should be eating fast food. And I was just kind of like, wait, so why are gyms closing, but fast food restaurants open? Why are, you know, people putting the pressure on certain types of foods, but the liquor stores are staying open?
Right.
And just by coming out and saying that, which is just something that I believe, and I'm like, working out makes me feel good. Eating healthy makes me feel good. Sunlight makes me feel good. Regardless of my background in the fitness world or having a degree in exercise science, I didn't even like bring out all the scientific reasons for it. I was just like, these are just some rules to live by. And everybody was just like, well, you must be a racist, sexist, misogynist, and homophobic. And I was just like, but what does that have to do with the science? Like, we're being told to do things right now by our government.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's not how government, in my opinion, should work. Like, I hate government that is like, do this. Like, that to me is like dictator, socialist, communist, fascist, no matter what's doing it. And, you know, I kind of feel like that was it. And like, you know, that was the last time I really kind of spoke about politics. I just kind of really have focused on the sex trafficking and the child sex trafficking and, you know, the Hollywood elites and just the elites in general and how they get away with murder and how the rest of us have to live by these rules and these laws, and we're essentially tax slaves to our country. So it's like we are paying an absurd amount of taxes, and even if you think you're not paying a lot in taxes because of your income, look at your property taxes, look at your sales tax of your state, look at any other thing that gets put on to what you're doing. If you live in New Jersey, New York, you've got tolls and all this stuff. So it's like, why are we working so hard to give half of our hard-earned money to the government that is then misspending our money everywhere and anywhere that they can, but then they turn around and say, if you don't do it, we're going to take everything from you. You know, so I finally reached a breaking point with the Epstein, you know, list, just because, you know, I've been talking about it for the last 8 years, 10 years, and I just want to see the list. And I don't really care who's in charge, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. I just want to see the list.
Exactly. I always run this little weird pattern. Like, Epstein killed himself, right? When he got arrested, then he killed himself, and all was good. That was in the end of 2019, right? All was still good. But then all of a sudden, Joe Rogan and a bunch of other people just started blurting out Epstein didn't kill himself, right? So this cold all of a sudden gets like it is the only thing they're allowed to talk about, like, because people were starting to talk about the thing. You know, it almost is like, was COVID like just an opportune time for them to divert attention, and they knew it wasn't that deadly, so they had to be ridiculous about it. Because like anybody that really knows any type of things, like the things you were talking about, the things they were asking us to do were hilariously, ridiculously stupid, right? Just unbelievably dumb. And my biggest point, and I think yours was too, antithetical to actual health. Like, they're closing gyms, they're keeping fast food open, DoorDash is open. Like, you can't go to the gym, but you can get liquor delivered to your house. Like, somebody explained this to me. Like there should have been almost a moratorium on alcohol, you know, just at the time, because like, you know, if we're going to be like, if we're going to be serious about it, like, more lives would be saved if everybody would have stopped drinking alcohol during the pandemic, because alcohol lowers the immune system. It's just a weird thing, right? And I was amazed at how people just bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. And I knew that people who were going to have trouble were people like, because I already kind of known you enough that I knew you were going to have trouble. And I knew a few other people that I've known in that, like, either reality TV world. Like, I have a really, I'm not even going to name him right now because I don't want to put him on blast, but I have a really, really, really good friend who has run a long time series on one of the like smaller channels, right? And he couldn't say anything because he would lose his contract at all. Like, but he's texting me every week. He's like, oh, so fucking true. Like, so fucking true, you know? And I remember thinking, like, this is the new norm. This is how it's always going to be. And I was wondering for reality TV contest shows, and this is no shit. I was thinking about you for like 6 or 7 months before this shit went down. But I was waiting for them to use it as a way to, like, the new people coming up in like little reality shows, as a way for them to use it to weaponize against the older people. You know what I mean? Or the people that have been there a while. Because, you know, it's statistically known, the older you get, the more conservative you tend to get. You know what I mean? Like, because you start seeing the world in a different light, right? So, and that's what happened to Cara, if you ask me. Like, they purposely fucking tanked her because she did absolutely not a goddamn fucking thing wrong. like literally nothing wrong. Like said something. And I mean, they were coming after, like, basically they come after your guys' livelihood, which is wild.
Yeah, I mean, still to this day, I think the biggest mystery is what did we do to be sat for 4 years?
Yeah. Oh, well, back then. I mean,
Yeah, well, it's like what did we actually do after being the main characters on 3 seasons in a row to just not only get cut off cold turkey on, you know, the next season, which was Total Madness, which aired during COVID, but then to serve like a 4-year punishment after that. No main characters have ever been punished that way in that show. And it's, you know, like people tend to like pile on in so many capacities, you know, and there's certain people that I just haven't seen back on the show where I'm just kind of like, I wonder what that is also for. Wow. Right. And there's other characters, you know, like regardless of anything, like I never feel like the vast majority should cater to anything else. Like even with COVID, it's like you're putting the elderly and the at-risk people in danger. Well, it's like, well, then why aren't we telling them to stay inside and the rest of us can just go about our lives and do whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that's unfair. It's like, well, like looking at it logically, it's like if I'm outside as a kid playing recess and we're playing football and little Timmy is the worst person in the world and can't play football and is like, hey, instead of playing football, you know, do you guys want to just go pile rocks over by the playground? And everybody that wants to play football is like, you know what? We all shouldn't play football, even though we're capable of playing football and we would have a great time playing football together. Let's all go pile rocks with Timmy because Timmy can't participate in the playing of the football. Like that's what just didn't make sense to me, where it was like, yeah, of course, I don't want to kill the elderly and I don't want to kill the, you know, people who already have like things that put them at risk if they got COVID. But why, if they're going to sit there and be like, well, I want to be able to go out and live my life, you need to abide to the rest of the rules. And be like, no, fuck you, dude. You should stay inside and we should just go live our lives. And you abide by the rules that they're putting in place. You know, like walking down specific aisles of the grocery store, walking into restaurants. And, you know, like I never wore a mask. I never gave a fuck enough to do it. First of all, I lived in Montana and like, we didn't have any people that like, you know, cared. But like the idea of like, oh, here's the thing. You're going to enter this establishment with a mask on, but when you sit down at a table, you can take it off and you're good. But if you have to get up and go to the bathroom, you got to put your mask back on because in some capacity, the table is your only protection. Like that's where you lost me. And like when logical people were just trying to point out and be like, hey, can somebody explain this to me? It's like, no, we can't explain it to you. If you question it, you're a fucking idiot. Made no sense.
Well, it's like when they forgot how to do math. Like everybody was freaking out about how deadly it was. And I'm like, this is like case, you know, known case fatality rate. People, I was like, when they come up with the asymptomatic number, it changes the denominator. You know, so the CDC, like in June, came out and said there's like, you know, 50 to 100 more times people that have like been infected that we know about, right? So automatically, to any logical person that knows how to do fucking math, that means it's not deadly. that means for especially for people under 70, you know, it's a cold, and maybe we shouldn't have been counting all these people that were also in car accidents, you know, in hospice and everything like that as COVID deaths to freak everybody out. I found it all to be just complete bullshit. And the season that they did, like the season that they did in 2020, like during COVID, because for those of you that don't know, I'm a huge fan of this, of the challenges. Well, I am, and I have hope for it, but I used to be. The show's unbearable now. Like it's just unfucking bearable, dude. Like,
well, once again, it goes into exactly what we just talked about, right? Yeah. So the show used to be about young, athletic people competing, carnage, all that stuff, and now, and that's what made the show authentic and great. And now you're catering towards the older people who are just there to collect a paycheck, and they don't care about winning anymore. They don't care about fighting anymore, and they just live off of their past resumes. And now you're casting young super fans that don't want to ruffle the feathers because they're fans of the people that are there. And it's like, it is completely lost its identity, in my opinion, but it's because it's catering to, the people who can't play the game anymore.
Well, the last one Cara was in, I thought that was a very good challenge. I thought it was an extremely physical challenge. Loved that shit. I thought it was fucking great, right? But then this last one, like, there was nothing really physically hard about it. That's the thing. Like, I mean, there was, I'm sure it was hard for them. I mean, we did have somebody on there to make Anissa feel good about herself for about her weight, like. Yep. So, I mean, like, that's literally it almost appeared to me like that's what the show was going for. We need a fat lesbian to be on here to like check this box. And since we have a fat lesbian and Anissa, we can't be doing physical challenges all the time. So that's literally, they took it away. As soon as they started having like eliminations with the guy and the girl together, I'm like, this is going to suck. I want to see some people fucking hit each other, like it was horrible.
Yeah. I mean, listen, what I loved about the challenge the most is like going on World of Worlds 1 and, looking at before you did a challenge being like, I have to think of a strategy here because I could possibly really injure myself if I don't. Right. Everybody was physically fit. The weak people were weeded out early who weren't physically fit. And it was just absolute chaos. And then even, War of the Worlds 2, I didn't like it as much as War of the Worlds 1 because I was like, it's a team thing. You brought back a lot of beasts, but there are a lot of people who are, getting hidden underneath the guise of like being on a team, and I feel like it started to kind of lose its, magic a little bit. And I don't know if that's like the influence coming from, the CBS merger, making things a little bit more. They make it so that like on War of the Worlds 1, if you were one of the top 5 competitors, you were always guaranteed to either be in the tribunal or just miss being in the tribunal. And it seems like it's gone a route where anybody can win any competition at any time. And that's not really how it should be. That, like when I watch Big Brother, that's what I watch Big Brother for. Cause I'm like, wow, these comps are designed a certain way where there's nobody that can really dominate. Like even if you're good, if you're winning 5 comps on a season, you're a comp piece. If you're winning 7, you're elite. You know what I mean? But like most people, when you look at all of the people competing on Big Brother at the end, if they've won 3, that's okay. Like on the challenge, it was never that. Like there was the people who just always beasted dailies. Yeah. There's people who always beasted eliminations. And now you're at a point in time where the social game has become more reliant than the physical fitness side of the game, where it's like anybody can lose an elimination, anybody can lose a daily, and that's just kind of crazy to me because, Veronica should not be making it to the end in any capacity unless people are bringing her to the final, as a layup,
I mean, look at the past history of this. Like even Bananas, dude. Like Bananas was like kind of a skinny, dorky guy when he first got in. So he worked. He realized it's money. So there was a time frame when you would watch the seasons where you could tell like him and a few other people said, "Hey, we can make a career out of this," and you could tell they started working out. A lot of them started doing puzzles in the off season. Shit, when they brought Cara Marie in, I mean, she didn't even know how to fucking swim. You taught her how to fucking swim and swim goddamn well, for these challenges, like literally for the challenges, Right. And now there's no incentive for that because like. It was embarrassing to watch. I think I got in an online thing with both Frank and that same girl about that, where they were like pissed at me where I'm saying like, this is fucking stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but like you guys, you shouldn't even be there. Frank absolutely should be there. Frank is a very good competitor, but why are you? And who? I feel bad. Like, okay, so say they let you back in, and then hey, as your president come back in, your partner for the entire season is going to be a Nisa.
Right.
And
Well,
it's nothing against Anissa, but you're not winning a final with her. You know, like it's not.
well, it's like
you know?
it's like I said, like it's become for certain people. Like for me, every time I lost, I came back and I was like, what could I do differently to come back and win?
Right.
And I feel like now it's become the running joke of like, how many challenges can certain challengers go without winning, where every time they come back and they've done nothing in the offseason to change the potential outcome of winning, are they going to come back and say, this is my season, knowing damn well it's not their season because they're not putting in the work? And, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with it, where it's like, why bring back old people who aren't going to argue with the new people? Yeah. The new people aren't going to argue with the old people because they're super fans. Those middle tier people like myself, Turbo, Rogan, Theo, you know, even people like Jordan and Zach who are closer to our time period of coming in, we would argue with the new people, and we still have enough history with the old people where, like, if they piss us off, they piss us off. And I got to give credit where credit's due to, you know, Bananas, even at his age, he's at least coming in shape, and he's at least coming in trying to stir the pot and trying to eliminate people that he thinks can beat him in a final, but he's at least in shape enough to do that. I can't, you know, I love the guy to death, you know, like personally, you know, but like CT, like you keep coming in out of shape, but like you're this absolute savage when you're in shape, but you're just wasting a space because we know every time you come in out of shape, you're not even planning to make the final. You're just coming and collecting a paycheck, you know, and it's the same thing on like all sides, you know, and I think, you know, you see little clips from the season 41 trailer where it seems like him and Turbo are getting into it. And it seems like Turbo's saying that exact same thing where it's like, there's people who would kill to be here and you're just showing up out of shape.
Yeah. Well, I always like, that's what I always found weird. Cause it's like, my job is fitness. I should stay the fucking shape, even though I don't compete in anything. Like my job is fitness, right? I should stay in shape. So I do, right? I've lost 100 pounds, kept it off, all the fucking shit, right?
Yep.
But like your job is, if your job is to go in to be believed that it's like, you want to be a reality star, first of all, and win money, because I think that should be like a prerequisite for the people they get, because they should want to win. A lot of these people, the goal is just to become a reality star. And it's like super obvious. Like, you know, like they come in, they can't even run a mile and they smoke cigarettes. Like, and it's just, it's an insult to a lot of other people that, like, you know, could use the money, like, because they're taking a slot that there's not any way they're going to possibly win. Right. And they do it to make sure. Like, for a while there, I remember telling you, I texted you one time, I was like, they are literally picking seasons to hand to Banana at one point in time. Like at one point in time, they were like picking people that he is either super tight with or have no chance to fucking fuck with him. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. And, you know, but like the chatter, and like, this is what I talk about all the time, because like the OGs, like they stick together online, whether they like each other or not, they're going to repeat the same message over and over again. And the message that started getting spun, like War of the Worlds 1, War of the Worlds 2 time period, where there was a lot of new competitors that came in that were threats, right? Like whether it be myself, Turbo, Theo, Joss, Rogan, everything like that. Like the messaging started being like, oh, like there's people who take the show too serious athletically. You know, this is a reality TV show. We need characters. We need characters. We need characters. And it's like, no, we don't need characters. And you guys are hypocrites for saying that we need characters, especially the OGs, because the only reason why you guys are characters is because you guys were the best competitors in your time period, right? So like everybody who was calling for competitors, right, and all this stuff, like back in the day, you had to be winning, whether it was the dailies or eliminations or controlling the game with your team by winning as a competitor. And then your personality was able to be shown, because if you're winning, the confessionals are on you. If you're the one being targeted by the winning side, the confessionals are on you. So like, that's where the characters were created, not because you guys went in there and were like, we need characters. We need characters. No, you won, felt a certain type of way because you were winning, and just spoke authentically how you want it to be.
Well, I can tell you this, and I know this for a fact. They didn't actually want characters. They wanted to create characters. They don't want people from the outside to be outside characters necessarily. And that's why a lot of people they get, like, there's a lot of reality TV, but it's always within their bubble, right? I think I think Paramount does a smart job of doing that, because why they're investing in all these faces. Why not do it? Like, why invite new people in? I get it's the same thing like how, like, a lot of times Top Chef and Food Network people don't talk to each other or don't talk about each other. Like, it's like it's sanitation, right? But you have it at the same time where they're creating people. They don't want them to come in. Scott Herman, who was on like one of the original seasons of Real World, I personally know was trying to get on that. Was trying to get back onto one of the challenges. Like trying to get on one of the challenges for years, like years. Millions of subscribers on all platforms. Like well known, has his own like personality, has his own fucking merch and shit like that. He tried to get on there for years and years, and they always said no to him. So that. They wanted personalities that they could, I think, create and control, and I think that's one of the things. Like you obviously have a very lively and creative personality. I think the same thing with Cara Maria. Like it's not even about like it's not even about anything dealing with LGBT, anything like that, because they have other people for that. You guys just are very unique people, and they either want to be able to like harness that and have you directed in what ways that they want, or they're not going to have you probably. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because it's like I never went into the shows being like I want to have a shtick.
Yeah.
I make fun of Wes. I'm like, dude, like the guy who I knew was like the guy who was like flipping everybody off, causing fights and everything. I said, and now like you've almost like developed this like shtick of like, well, and it's like, where did that come from? Like what shtick are we doing here? Like, listen. Bananas has always had his dad jokes, right? Like, he rinses and repeats the dad jokes. Like CT has like, his little mumble and grunts and everything. But I always looked at it more so from a standpoint of what can I do in this game that either hasn't been done before, or, how can I outdo what I did last season from a performance standpoint and from a getting in people's heads standpoint.
Right.
And that changes every single season because you don't know who's going to be there.
Right. I think that's the lost thing too. Like I've also saw that like this recent one, it was like the Vacation Alliance and shit like that. Like, and it's smart on their part, like to play on the outside because it's not against the rules, but it's also like, the alliance is weird because it's a bunch of people that could use a bunch of other people to win that the other people are never going to win. Like until Josh learns how to do a puzzle, that dude's never winning anything. Like he's never winning anything.
Well, without a doubt. But I've spoken to Josh about this, numerous times, right? Because like he was underneath my wing when he first came in, and on War of the Worlds 2, like when he went the other route, with the vets, I was like, dude, you have an ability to have a great social game. You have great influence. They need you more than you need them, right? And with the Vacation Alliance, it's like, yeah, like, it makes sense. Like if you're a group of people and you can consistently make it to the end, that means that as a group, you're all making more money and one of you guys are winning.
Right.
But where I would try and talk to Josh is be like, hey, where do you stack up on that totem pole? Because, you haven't made, a final, and you always seem to be the one that gets thrown into an elimination or cut right before the final, but you help all of these people get to that end part through your social game and through, helping, like when somebody in the Vacation Alliance wants chaos caused in order to draw attention to somebody that they want out, they go to Josh and they say, go start a fight with this person. And he does it. And then it gets that person out, and then they do it to the next one. And then it gets to the end and they're like, all right, thanks for getting rid of everybody for us. We're going to throw you into an elimination now. And, maybe he's woken up, maybe not. Like, who knows? Like, I would like to think that maybe he woke up after season 40, because even going into season 40, like I went to him and I was like, listen, brother, like, it's not me against you. Like we put our stuff aside, on USA. And I'm like, everybody wants me and Theo to go against each other. And even though Theo and I had, said, hey, we're going to work together on a team, let's settle this later. Like everybody got in his head and was like, you're really not going to ask for Paulie like right now? And then like me being me, I'm not going to sit there and be like, dude, get your head on straight. I'm gonna be like, oh, you're asking for me. All right. I'm going to throw myself down there. And, it was unfortunate on my end that Hall Brawl was the one that got picked out of all the other ones, where I think I would have had a better chance of winning. But I even looked at like my whole team and I'm just like, are we really making the best decision here? Like throwing the two best players on the team in on the first elimination against each other? Like, are we doing this for us or are we doing this for the rest of the house? You know what I mean? And then, it was clearly for the rest of the house. And it's like, okay, I think that Era 4 with me on it, we probably would have won every single daily, keeping the entire team safe until it went to individuals. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Like, I think I bring a certain level of strategic brain to the game that I think intimidates people, whether they're on my team or not.
I think so also, but I also think that that's I view it as such a controlled game anymore because it's just not savage anymore. It's just really, really, really not, like my wife and I started noticing it a couple of years ago. It's like, I almost can tell who they want to win here, and it's going to be between these three people, and once you know that three people, then it's just drama unless somebody gets injured. Right. And it's like this, it's like the other little stuff, like, Laurel's an incredible competitor and athlete and stuff like that when she's in shape and sane. But at some point in time, like, it's not fun to watch people be super unhinged. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's, and I also think a lot of this is very like how our culture is right now. Our culture went through a little phase where it was like, it's not cool to be strong. Everybody can win type thing. And I think that permeated into the show to a certain degree because it's CBS. That's why you have a lot of people. That's why, it's not an athletic show when there's multiple women over 200 pounds on it. Unless it's a powerlifting competition, it's not an athletic show,
Yeah. I mean, and even the guys are coming in out of shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, like how many times, like, listen, I mean, how it is, like, even as an athlete, there's a reason why athletes have to retire at a certain age. Yeah. You know what I mean? They just can't do what they once could do. So it's like to try and trick us and convince us that these people who are in their 40s and 50s can still do what people in their 20s and 30s can do is just crazy. Like, there's not an anomaly. I'm telling you, I've competed with these people. There's not an anomaly here. So like, the fact that fans are like calling out what they're seeing and like almost being told that they're crazy to kind of be like, how is this person still capable of winning? They're not wrong. Right. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where, somebody's going to have to just make the call to do it, to kind of be like, hey, I did that when I went in. I was like, I tried to gather as many new people as possible, being like, hey guys, I know they're going to want us to go against each other, but if we all team up and get them out, we're actually preserving our future on the show because, we're going to be the ones that end up making it to the end. And eventually we're going to be the ones arguing with each other at the end when we're doing this. And then we are the new staples. Right. And like nobody saw the writing on the wall until now, where now it's a bunch of old people being cast. And now all of those people are coming to me being like, hey, what did we do wrong? And I was like, well, you didn't eliminate them early like that. There's a reason why all of those people, like the rinse and repeat process was like rookies come in, rookies get tossed in nonstop until they're gone. Yeah, because if you get rid of somebody early, they're not memorable.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about though. That's the thing. And the ones that get, like the young ones that especially that buck up, they get tossed early because they don't want that personality. And they can do it. Like it reminds me very much of Congress. Like it's almost impossible to beat an incumbent congressperson. Like just an upstart coming in, it's almost impossible, right?
Yeah,
So,
like you just don't have the money backing. You don't have any of that
right,
stuff. I mean,
right.
like there's so many parallels to like the political climate and the entertainment world that's like insane. Things that I didn't really even know or consider because I came from athletics. It was like a meritocracy.
Yeah.
Like if you're the best, like you play. Like I like when I would go in on my early seasons, I was like, if I don't make it all the way to the end, I'm never getting called back. And now, there's people who go home first or second, and like they immediately are on the next season. It's like, for what?
Yeah.
For what?
Well, I do think, I mean, as we've been talking, I think it's because of how like society was for a while. I honestly think that there's going to be like a resurgence of like, we want to see actual competitive shows and stuff like that. I'm hoping, I don't know if I don't know if it'll be the challenge. I think that somebody else is probably going to step in and actually put like an athletic challenge together, like something like that. Because honestly, that's what people want to see. They want to see like real people doing like a real person that just trains really hard and does athletic shit. Like what could I actually do? Because I don't want to see like I don't want to see how like a 6'9" guy can train real hard and win shit. I want to see how like a 5'9" guy, who's just happens to be an athlete can train really hard and win. Like that's an interesting show. If I want to watch the superhumans, I have sports, all that shit, right? This provides a different niche. The problem is they're not doing it no more. It's just like every other rainbow collection. And I have no problem with LGBT at all. A huge portion of my friends are, but it's like they're trying to soften it so much, and they're making it so much a valuable portion of these lives. That's the thing. Like I've known you forever. I always assumed that you were bisexual. Like I don't know. I mean, it's just I always did. Me and you never fucking spoke about it until this point. I don't think we've never fucking talked about it. I just don't understand what the big deal was about it when people when it happened. But you operate how I like. I don't think it needs to be a part of your personality. It doesn't need to be a part of who you are. It just happens to be who you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be this like announcement type thing. And whenever they get to that, that's where I'm just like, and speaking as of this person and speaking as of that person, it's like, God, it's just
I never understood like I'm grateful that that I did because it helped a lot of people. But like once again, like everybody who I played with I just got inducted into my Hall of Fame for sports. Like they didn't talk about me coming out as bisexual. They talked about what my accomplishments were as an athlete. Anybody that I played with, I was their captain. They didn't come out to me and be like, hey man, that's kind of strange that you came out after like all of the locker room talks and us being in showers and stuff. It was just kind of like, yeah, you were our captain. Like you led us to whatever. I got an immense amount of support. And that's why it's always just so funny to me. Like when it comes to talking about anything politics is because I'm bisexual. Like everybody wants me to just have the opinions of like the talking points. And I'm just like, there's so many other opinions about everything that's going on. And I can communicate on all of them. Like, yeah, I want everybody to, love who you love, have equal rights and have all these things. But once again, if you start pushing me past the limit of like what I should say and shouldn't say, like, who are you to tell me what it is? You know what I mean? Like even coming out about the Epstein list, it's like, that was not meant to be political at all. And everybody's in there, like, once again, fixating and focusing on being like, well, like the Democrats were coming in trying to act morally superior. The Republicans were trying to come in and act morally superior. Yeah. But then there was like this large group of people that were just like, I actually agree with exactly what he's saying.
Right.
And there's no political affiliation attached to the words that he's saying. Like the fact that you can try and make this one versus the other, or like who's the president right now, is just insane, because that's not even what I was speaking about. I was speaking about, we are getting played. I feel like we're being played by both sides.
Oh, so
and I feel as though we're being walked into, I think one side walks us 100 yards and then the other side says it ends now, but then they walk us another 100 yards in a different way under different guys, right?
Absolutely.
But they now split the country so much so that it's like essentially 50-50 on who you vote for. So like it really doesn't matter who's in charge. The cattle are all walking in the same direction. And I'm sitting there trying to wake people up and be like, hey, we're all being walked into the same slaughterhouse here. The only way for us to stop it is for us to make the politicians work for us, because they're no longer working for us. We are working for them. And they distract us with new talking points, and they distract us with crumbs of like things that like we should be grateful for. And it's like, no, like we live in the greatest country in the world. We are the last standing country that is going to stand up and fight for total, takeover. Like we're one of the only countries in the world that like gives as much to protect other countries. And it's like, if we fall, are there other countries that are going to be like, you know what? America needs our help. Let's send our money and our country's tax dollars to them. The answer is no, they're not going to do it. So like, if we don't wake up now and like stand up against all of the politicians, like the Democrats need to regulate their people, the Republicans need to regulate their people. They need to get out the people who are just taking our money and being like, hey, it's okay, it's going over here. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions about it. Like, what world?
I think that's been unacceptable forever. I've always wondered why the government is allowed to keep secrets from us. Like, I don't understand why they can just, they're our employees, and they can just be like, we're not telling you this. If we say why, they're like, because we said so. Like, that's not how that works, right? Like, we should have privacy from them. They should know nothing about our lives.
Yes.
But they should have no secrets from us. That's how this shit should work.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The only way they should know about our lives is how we vote.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? So, like, if somebody wins an election, whether it's at the local level or the state level or the Congress level or, whatever have you, that's the only time they should really know about anything about us, is like, oh, this percentage of people feel this way. Right. But they shouldn't be able to sit here and be like, oh, Paulie, I know everything about him. So now, we need to do things in order to keep him from having a voice. Like that's not how this was made. And I don't know where we got lost in this, where, but like I believe, you have to be in control of saving yourself. Like a politician is not going to save me. A politician is not going to make me more rich, not going to make me more healthy, not going to make me more independent. But the one thing politicians can do is take away my rights and make it harder for me to make money and do all that stuff. So I'm a big fan of leaving people alone and just allowing us to make money. Right. Absolutely. And I think there's enough good people in this world to self-regulate any of the assholes that might be doing any of the crazy shit, like suggesting that people in the LGBT community shouldn't have rights, that, a certain minority or a certain race shouldn't have rights, that women shouldn't have rights. Like, I think there's enough good people, but I also feel as though men were demonized for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I do think, and this is me speaking, on behalf of my community, is it's like, it's a lot of talk, not enough action, right? Yeah. And the thing is, we're not regulating the bad people. Like, so somebody who's providing for their family, minding their own business, who might have an opinion, that's a toxic male. To me, a toxic male is somebody who gaslights, somebody who rapes, somebody who murders, somebody who beats their wives or their significant other, right? So I feel as though as a community, we can self-regulate those people and kind of be like, hey, we don't like that. Like, so don't do it. And if somebody's sitting there, like it's a natural instinct for men. If they see somebody getting beat up on the street, or at least it used to be, I still have this instinct. I'm sure you still have this instinct. If I see somebody getting beaten up or jumped and they are not able to defend themselves at all, I'm stepping in. But once you make men afraid to step in, that's when you're running into a very scary point in this realm, because the only thing that is going to stop us from complete tyranny is people willing to fight against the government.
Right. And for a lot of people, like I have this phrase, we're never voting our way out of tyranny, and it's already here. Like at some point in time, we're going to have to just make sure they know we need to hold them accountable. We're going to have to take matters into our own hands, likely, because think about it this way, and about nutrition and stuff like that. So the food pyramid in the 70s, right? 70s and 80s, right? Or the 80s, right? The food pyramid. We all know that it's literally corruption. Like the food pyramid is literally corrupt, right? It was produced by big food to push ultra processed foods. 11 servings of grains in a day is not something the average person who's not an athlete can do and not end up fat, right? This remained for decades with the government pushing it. Dietitians are trained from this, right? Like are trained from this information. Doctors aren't, because doctors don't know nutrition, but dietitians are trained from this information, right? So we know it's corrupt. So that means the USDA is corrupt. But if one sector of the government's corrupt, it's the government's corrupt. Like I have fat, sick, weak, and dependent. For decades, that our government has helped big food and big pharma facilitate our population being fat, sick, weak, and dependent. And I'm talking physically and emotionally weak. Like, we are emotionally weak people. You bitches out there that think words hurt you, like words are violence and shit like that. Like I just cannot fucking relate. Like I grew up an athlete in like the fucking 80s. Like there was no things as feelings. You don't cry, like get your shit done. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but also like the shift, like when you look at like videos of like men from like the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah.
All physically fit, all just doing tons of push-ups, all just running, all just climbing things, doing a bunch of pull-ups. Can you say that now for like majority of and like that was the majority of the men? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then of that crop, people became athletes and people became other things. Now it's like I almost wish I was trying to become an athlete now. I feel it would be way more easy to become an athlete now than it was when everybody was physically fit, because going against physically fit people, it doesn't matter how much technique you have. If somebody can physically just overpower you and just dominate you, like technique goes out the window. But now you can be technical and you can make it. And it's like, okay, like what is that? Like, and I don't want to like call it what it is, but there was a certain time period where like white cornerbacks didn't exist at all. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, like white cornerbacks are able to exist in the NFL now. Like, you're telling, like, I'm just sitting here being like, okay, what is going on in the athletic world? Because in my athletic world, there was no way that for certain positions, a white boy could have that position over, a black guy, because like they were just so physically superior.
Well, I think it's all like all demographics, but I do also point out this way: like if you look at the NBA now compared to the NBA during Jordan, the NBA now has several megastars who happen to have the brain and genetics and the love and the drive all mixed together, right? You have a few superstars and then some pretty good people, right? And a lot of guys that do the same thing, that they try to get endorsements and stuff like that. It's more about the rich and fame than ball. But think about back to like, Jordan and the Bulls. Like the entire team is all stars. Everybody is an all-star player pretty much back then. There's very few standouts, right? It's just because the competition is a lot weaker right now. I do think that there's great coaches out there that are changing this up as much as possible. They just have less to pull from. They really do. Like when you already get like to 12 years old and you're like the child's obese, like now can they be a good athlete? Yes. But at the same time, now you got multiple things going on that are working against them. Like it's become such a culture of overconsumption and only worry about like right now, that I worry that like that's only gonna get worse, especially because again, there's nothing stopping us. Like we're talking about, like the promises made, like the Epstein list. That's a fucking promise made. Why are there still pharmaceutical commercials on TV? What the fuck? Right. I mean, that should have been taken off a while. We are one of 2 countries that do that. Like it gives. For those of you that don't understand why, I don't think that people are watching these commercials and being like, oh yeah, I need to ask my doctor about that medication that they just told me might blow my asshole out. Like it's not about the medication. It's about the fact that they pay such an inordinate amount to these outlets that they can dictate content on there. So there can't be any negative speech about them and only positive content about their products. Yeah. It's narrative control. So if we got rid of pharmaceutical commercials, people don't seem to understand how much that would change the world, right? 75% of like mainstream media news ad revenue is like from pharma. 75%. So CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're gone. All of them,
Yeah.
almost immediately, right? And then we might be like, that's the propaganda, people. Obama guaranteed that could be the propaganda. Obama made it so that the news could lie to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why what you're saying is like, it's just bit by bit, the pendulum keeps swinging, but it keeps swinging forward, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like everybody says, oh, the pendulum always swings, right? But nobody's talking about, like we're all so busy arguing with each other about all of the things that they're telling us to argue with each other about. Like I can go across this entire country. I've interacted with so many different people from so many different walks of life, and it seems like everybody loves each other and gets along. Mm-hmm. That is not what social media or the media would tell you, right? No. And like that's the crazy thing about it is that nobody's waking up to see that like the people at the top are controlling this division, and they're literally sowing the division. And we're not sitting there being like, well, are any of our lives getting better? Like, I mean, everybody wants to talk about like what a politician is going to do for them. It's like the largest transfer of wealth in the history happened during COVID in terms of like transferring money from the middle class to the upper class in order to make sure that more middle class people went to the lower class. That is just insane. That's insane.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like nobody wants to talk about it. And everybody's just like, well, what politician is going to fix this? It's like none. Why would they fix something that they're getting fed so good off of? Right. There's not a single politician that is going to fix what's going on. We have to fix it, and we have to fix it from the ground level up, and we have to not be lazy, and we have to get our people at the ground level that we think are going to fight for us to the next level, get them seats, and actually make some things happen. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. Yeah, I think the thing you run into is the same thing every time. Like, it is just them moving it forward, and the only way to stop them is like we just can't accept it anymore. And they're trying to memory hole COVID so insanely, it's wild, right? And it's because like there was never any justification for any of it. Like Trump had to be either like, and this I've said this for years. Trump had to be either be really stupid or very gullible to think that we should close the world down for this. Like really stupid or really gullible, because you could literally see just by the numbers, like people were not falling over dead. Like people were only dying in the hospital. Like people were only dying in the hospital. If it was like a real pandemic, people would be dying everywhere, Yeah. And it's just not, to me, there was never, even if COVID would have been 10, 20 times deadlier, I still don't understand why people think that means I should have to give up my rights to go any place I want. Like you can tell me it kills half the people that get it. If I still decide to go out, I should be able to. I should accept my own risk.
And you're the one at risk. Right. If you die, like you made that choice yourself. But like I just don't understand how people can't see the disconnect or the connection of where things are now. Like even from what we see, right? Like at what point do you not think that our government and our politicians aren't using and leveraging what Hollywood has been able to create for us to watch for enjoyment in real time?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, like everything, like when you really look back on the COVID side of things, there was viral videos going out of people in China dropping dead in hazmat suits in the streets.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that was kind of like, damn, this could be really scary. But there was another part of me being like, this seems like it's like somebody's setting up a video and pushing it for fear mongering. Right. Yep. And like, I don't care whether like if something I say ends up to be wrong, I will correct it. You know this because when I did that stuff on social media and you said why I shouldn't do it, I was like, damn, I never really thought about it from that perspective. Now I understand it from this perspective. So now I'm going to do it this way.
And immediately did.
So I don't care whether if I end up being wrong about something or right about something, I'm not going to sit there and like live or die on it, but I am going to critically think about it before making a decision. And I'm going to make my decision. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I could be like, hey, listen, I'm wrong. This is what I've used to make my decision. I'm wrong. The fact that nobody that was wrong about COVID at all has come out and been like, my bad.
Yeah.
We were wrong is just absolutely insane to me. But it happens in all facets of things. Like I see it on the Republican side when they double down on certain things. I see it on the Democratic side when they double down on certain things. But when are the people who are like the logical people going to sit there and be like, no, like we were saying this forever and we were called idiots and stupid. Like, I'm sorry. Like I graduated cum laude from Rutgers. Like I had a 4.0 GPA in high school. Like you're not going to tell me that the person who was failing in the classes that I was failing can now come on social media and tell me that I'm the fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not how it works in any capacity of things. Like, sure, maybe if the person that was failing in my class somehow educated themselves, whether it's through the internet, through YouTube, through reading books, there's so many ways that somebody who once was dumb can become smart. But you are not going to tell me that I should be listening to some of the dumbest people that exist ever. And like, just because they're repeating talking points to sound smart with no critical thinking, with no variation of what it is, and no like input of themselves, right? Like, and I understand we live in a world of retweets, reshares, posting to your story, doing all that stuff. And it's very easy to read something and be like, yeah, that pretty much sums up what I'm thinking, and reposting it. But why can't you repost it and kind of be like, listen, from what I know, this is spot on with my take because this is what I feel about this, and this. It's because nobody really wants to open themselves up to actually looking how stupid they really are. And that's where we've gotten. It's almost like that movie Idiocracy, where it's like the fields with energy drinks because the president says this is what makes plants grow. And then a guy from the, past is stuck in the future and is like, well, we should water it with water. And they're just like, no, you're crazy. And then they water it with water and the plants grow. And it's like, how did you know this? And it's like, we're getting very close to the point where we can't think for ourselves. And once we get to that point, it is all over because then, we're in a very scary situation as a country.
Well, we already are. Like, if you really look at the one of the reasons why they won't want COVID investigated thoroughly is because when you really, really look at it, it very likely was already in the United States by like late fall of 2019, which means it just kind of wandered around the United States for 5 months and nobody really even noticed. And, if that's the case, there's no justification to close anything. Like, that's the thing. I think that if it's examined, there will never be any justification that they should have actually done any of it, yet alone made it last for years. I remember at one point in time, like Governor Newsom was like he set his like goals for reopening, right? Like you had to have so much percentage of people test, and it needs to be this percentage and everything like that, blah, blah, blah. And then you can reopen to go to restaurants. And like he was laying this whole thing out, right? And I'm like, the false positive percentage on the tests is going to make it so they never get to open again. You're like,
well, I mean, like I was trying out for the Olympics, right? When I was at the center in Lake Placid, and a week prior to the tryout, we had to get the COVID tests up the nose, right? Now we had been locked down.
Yeah.
Right. And my test came back positive. Right. And they were like, oh, you're positive. You can't compete this week. And I said, there's no way I'm positive. Test me again. So the next day they test me, it comes back as negative. So I go, okay, so I'm negative. Like that must be a false positive. And they were like, okay, well, let's test you again. The next day comes out negative. Right. Now I wasn't allowed to compete in the tryouts because at the time, the state of New York had a law that basically said that anytime there's a positive test, it's a positive test. So it's going in the database as a positive test. You're positive, even though you're negative, right? So like I couldn't push on the one day. Like there wasn't like, oh, hey, we could do it a week later when like you're cleared. It was like, no, it's this weekend. And if you don't push this weekend, you can't make the team. So it's like
that's brutal.
It's like what are we even doing here? And I wasn't the only one that it happened to that time. And it's like when was the logic going to be logical? Right? Like if I was showing symptoms, if I was like anything, I would sit there, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm showing no symptoms. I am training really good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine. I'm more than fine. And, you know, I had the tests to back it up, and it was like, you know, no, blah, 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 blah. Like, and you're not even vaccinated. And I was just like, what does that even mean? What does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? And like, you know, like it was just a crazy time period. But
meanwhile, the infection fatality rate for somebody of like I actually had like I actually did some of the math on this the other day. Like for your age bracket, the infection fatality rate is super low to begin with, but because you're an athlete and we're in shape, it's like you have more chances of getting hit by a meteor or something like that than dying of COVID, right? And it was silliness, like absolute silliness, to destroy young people's lives to protect the old and frail. Like it really was. And it's also another reason why we should. It's also another reason why we should not, like, we as a people, just like you were talking, we need to change our culture. We can't be just coddling people like living shitty lifestyles anymore and being a burden to us. Like you know, I feel for addicts and stuff like that, but everybody's got to get their shit together. Everybody's got to pull their weight. Same thing with people that eat too much, drink too much. If you eat yourself into diabetes, get yourself the fuck healthy. You know, like,
right.
But we're so devoid of personal responsibility, and that's how they want us to be. They want us fat, sick, weak, and independent. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I gotta go in like 5 minutes, but like it's so true. But it's like, even like the first thing that was like a red flag during the COVID time was when like Cosmopolitan put like a very overweight person on the cover and said, "This is healthy."
Yep.
And I remember posting that on my story and being like, "This is not healthy at all. Like, do not even try and push this." Like, and like, you could have told me that I, just said a racial slur with the kind of backlash that I got over saying that. And I was just like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to buy into your craziness that this is healthy. It's not healthy.
Right. I have eyes. You know what I mean? I can see it, you know?
I'm sorry, but like, I'm sorry, but that person is, if they don't change their lifestyle, they're going to be dead. Like,
right. But I'm hoping that that's reversing a little bit, but again, it's going to take everybody. We have to get past this. Like, we should be encouraging everybody we know that needs to get physically fit to get physically fit, because it enslaves us all. Because the more sick people we have, the more they can control us. You know.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I appreciate your time. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you got coming up next, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can find me at Paul Calafiore _. You can check out my companies. It's Calafiore Global, Calafiore Productions, Calafiore Management. I mean, I think if the challenge wants to get back to where it once was, you'll see me there. So I'm good. I'm healthy. Concussions are healed from the running into a truck like Theo 2 times. And just pay attention. There's a couple shows that you might see me on.
Hell yeah. I can't wait, man. And thank you very much, sir. Talk to you soon.
No, of course, brother. Thank you.